Good afternoon. We're here today to provide an update on the county's preparations for Hurricane Irma. I'd like to welcome Orange County Sheriff Jerry Demings, Vice Mayor Commissioner Sipling, Commissioner Pete Clark, Commissioner Vanderlei, Bill Sublette, Orange County Public Schools, Edward Johnson with LYNX, Ajit Lajandani, our County Administrator, Fire Chief Drodes, Ron Plummer, Manager of Emergency Management, Ray Hansen, our Utilities Director, Mark Massaro, Public Works Director, Dill Luther, Animal Service Manager, Donna Weich, Manager of Mental Health and Homelessness. And at this time, I'd like to introduce Orange County Mayor Teresa Jacobs.
Thank you. Well, welcome and good afternoon. As I've mentioned so many times before, having grown up in Miami, the one thing I learned about hurricanes, if there's anything that you can say about them, is that they're unpredictable. And we have certainly seen just in the last 24 hours since we addressed the public that we've seen a shift in course. We need to monitor this situation very carefully, and of course, we need to take this storm extremely seriously. We know that in order to be prepared and to come through this storm, we know that government can't do it alone. This is a partnership. It includes our first responders. It includes fire rescue, law enforcement. It includes the assistance of our school district, our tourism industry and hospitality community, our transportation officials, but most importantly, it includes the citizens, the residents, and the visitors that are here. And it is clear to me from the time that I've spent out in the community that our citizens are taking this seriously, and that gives me a great sense of encouragement about how we will weather this storm. This is a time when communities have historically come together. This is a time when our community will likewise come together, when neighbors roll up their sleeves and help neighbors. There are some updates that I want to share with you at this time. Of course, you are no doubt following the storm updates. From our perspective, what you're going to hear is, I'm sure, no different than you're hearing from your local media. Our Office of Emergency Management anticipates that Orange County should begin to experience tropical force storm winds as early as Sunday morning around 9 a.m. We anticipate experiencing those winds through Monday evening. We are looking at 5 to 6 hours of tropical force storm winds and 3 to 5 hours of hurricane force winds. We expect a longer duration of Irma as compared to Charlie, and we still do not have an estimate on rainfall. I know that the issue of rainfall and flooding is of major concern to so many of our citizens, having seen what took place in Houston. This storm is very different. It is powerful, but it is very different in terms of its dynamics. So while we want people to be prepared, and it's obvious from the number of people that have visited our Sandbag sites, they are being prepared, we also want people to avoid and try not to become alarmed. Today, our EOC activation level is at a level 2. Tomorrow at 7 a.m., we will go to a level 1, full-scale activation. Shelters in Orange County will open for the general population, including pet-friendly shelters, beginning tomorrow morning, Saturday, September 9th at 9 a.m. A list of these shelters can be found on our website at www.ocfl.net/Irma, and I trust that the media that's here today, I trust that you will communicate that as well. We now have 9 primary care shelters, 2 pet-friendly shelters, and 3 persons of special needs shelters, for a total of 14 shelters. We have the ability to open more shelters as demand dictates. Additional shelters will be announced and will be communicated to the public through that website, as well as through our local media and through all of our social media outlets. We are also reaching out to the faith-based community, and what we have learned is that they too are rolling up their sleeves and opening their doors, to many of them, to their parishioners, to outsiders. So we're encouraged by the cooperation of our faith-based community. Individuals who have registered for our persons with special needs will be contacted by phone directly with the location information of the shelter that they have been assigned to, along with information on transportation assistance if needed. Host shelters. As a host county, Orange County will be opening several host shelters today, which are specifically made for evacuees from other parts of the state. These host shelters will help get individuals and families off some of our very crowded interstates and highways. Not only will this help with the flow of traffic, particularly for the families and elderly individuals, it makes great sense to get vulnerable travelers off of our local roads and into a stable setting. As far as county closures, Orange County government will be closed on Sunday and Monday, with normal operations expected to reopen on Tuesday. Conditions will determine that. Our parks will be closed, and we are telling our citizens not to camp out at our parks, obviously, on Saturday as well. Closing county normal operations on Sunday and Monday will assist keeping our employees off the roads and keeping them safe as well. On Tuesday, September 12th, Orange County Board of County Commissioners meeting has been canceled, as well as the library hearing. Although we do, as I said, hope to be back in general business for the public, depending upon the conditions on the roadways. Evacuation of manufactured or mobile homes. Since noon today, our Orange County Fire Rescue has had 25 teams going door to door with informational flyers to the 117 mobile home parks in Orange County to inform them that there is a mandatory evacuation. Our personnel are encouraging residents to leave their mobile homes, go stay with other family members or friends, or to make plans to visit and stay at one of our shelters. Orange County Fire Rescue will be continuing this effort throughout tomorrow. We urge residents to follow the evacuation orders and to be safe, and we urge our residents to make sure that they're making individual decisions if they live in a home that they think may be compromised by heavy winds. Sandbags. This year, already in the last 2.5 days, we have distributed more than 110,000 sandbags. And we are distributing them at a rate of 5,500 per hour. This is one of the reasons I know our citizens are taking this seriously. I'd like to thank the tireless work of our public works officials. We will not be opening sandbag locations tomorrow. Public school closures. Per Governor Scott's executive order, Orange County Public Schools is closed on Monday. Closed today and on Monday, and we do have, I believe we have Chairman Bill Sublette here, and he can answer questions and speak to that issue further. Utilities Department. Garbage, recycling, and yard waste will not be collected for residents of unincorporated Orange County on Monday, September 11th. Monday routes will be collected on Tuesday, September 12th. Collections will be made one day later for the remainder of the week. Customers whose regular collection day is scheduled for Monday should plan to place garbage, recycling, and yard waste at the curb when conditions are safe for collection on Tuesday. In other words, if we are wrong in all of our projections and we still have very stormy conditions on Tuesday, use your own judgment and keep your garbage contained. The Orange County landfill and transfer stations will close at 2 p.m. on Saturday, September 9th, and will reopen when conditions are safe. Orange County is aware that some residents have had difficulty locating bottled water. They're not alone. It is our understanding that this is a distribution matter and that additional water is on its way from suppliers. Residents are reminded, however, that tap water is an excellent option. We have excellent water, thanks to our Utilities Director, Ray Hansen, here. And this is how we grew up. We grew up by cleaning our bathtubs very well and filling them up with water. The one thing I would say is if you have small children, remember to keep that bathroom door sealed, locked, closed, whatever it takes to keep them out of the bathtub. So with that caveat, there are other options, filling other containers, filling Tupperware containers. And I'll let Mr. Hansen speak to all the different ways that you might want to store water. But do not panic. Rule number 1, do not panic. Think creatively. Reach out to us for additional advice and assistance. Bathtubs, as I said, are a great way to hold water. Make sure they're clean. Make sure no little ones can get to them. And finally, just a few loose ends. Our 311 line has a language translation line. Obviously, we have bilingual people on the other end. But if you don't speak Spanish and you don't speak English, don't hesitate to call, because we do have translation available to many, many other languages. OCFL alert. communication is a very important part of us coming through this storm together. We have several ways in which we communicate to the public here in Orange County. I encourage all of our citizens and residents that have smartphones to download the OCFL Alert app on their smartphone for the latest information directly from emergency management. Again, that is OCFL Alert is the name of the app. Residents with questions and concerns can call 311 for assistance if they don't have smart apps or if they're not particularly tech savvy. Finally, we will put out all the information via social media and our website, ocfl.net. Again, for anyone who is not using the internet, not using cell phones, just reach out to us through 311. Homelessness. This is probably one of the first years that we have a coordinated effort to make sure that we are reaching out to the homeless camps and the homeless individuals that we are aware of throughout Central Florida, but especially here in Orange County. We, at this juncture, we're in communication with our homeless providers in Orange County, should we need boots on the ground to reach that population, but that outreach is already taking place. With the assistance of LYNX, who has volunteered to be part of this work group to help our precariously housed and our homeless, we will be able to provide transportation to those who lack a roof over their heads. And finally, we have Georgia Gill with us from Visit Orlando. And if there are questions about hotel occupancy, I can give you the short answer. There's no more room at the inn for all intents and purposes, but I'll be pleased to have Mr. Agel speak to that. At this point, I would like to call on Sheriff Demings to make some remarks regarding their efforts to make sure we're prepared and safe to provide the assistance that we need to our citizens, our residents, our visitors. And Sheriff?
Thank you. All right. Thank you, Mayor. Let me first begin by the few key themes that I want to talk about this evening. First off, the number one priority for us is to keep our citizens safe. And we will do that by working together. The second point I want to make is together as a community, we can get through this. I certainly appreciate the work that has been done by the different community partners and our citizens to prepare themselves, but you should be confident in knowing that your government officials of various levels are well prepared. I have had communications with our governor, our mayors, our other government officials, as well as we have prepared as best that we can for this storm. There should be confident knowing that because of our experiences here in Orange County, we are well capable of dealing with this storm at hand. And so the other message that I want to give to you, you heard the mayor talk about some evacuations of mobile home parks, et cetera. There have been a number of businesses who have closed early, will be closed over this weekend. I want our citizens to know that your law enforcement officers are going to be patrolling in numbers throughout the community as businesses are closed, et cetera. And I also want those who intend to do harm or commit crime in this community to know that this is serious for us. We're not playing. We will simply put you in jail if we find you loitering in places where you have no business being while these businesses and while this community is going through what we're going to be going through. But by the same token, as these shelters are open up, there will be a law enforcement presence around those shelters. Our role at the shelters is one of simply safety and security. We're not there to be immigration enforcement officers. Our concern is that people who need to get out of harm's way have an appropriate place to go, and we will ensure that the activities at those shelters are appropriate as well. And you can count on that from those of us in law enforcement here in this community. As it relates to some other issues that I have been asked today, there's been one about whether or not individuals who possess firearms will be able to lawfully carry them inside or at shelters. And that answer is no. However, the governor has made it clear that individuals who can lawfully possess a firearm who are evacuating under this state of emergency, they are able to carry concealed firearms on their person. However, they will not be able to carry them at the various shelters that we're talking about. Many of them are schools, and we have laws that prohibit the possession of firearms other than by law enforcement at certain facilities. And so we will be there to make certain that we do enforce the law. We want everyone to stay safe and to be able to protect themselves. And so if you're a lawful firearms carrier, certainly you can carry it in appropriate places, not at the shelters. We will be there to make sure that everyone is safe, and that's our role and responsibility. So we look forward to continuing to work with our first responders. We have gone into an augmented shift configuration at the Orange County Sheriff's Office to make certain that we are able to deploy appropriate personnel throughout the remainder of this storm, and that likely will be through at least sometime on Monday. We will work with Mayor Jacobs and the other mayors and the other counties regarding any types of curfews. Our goal is to make certain that commerce remains intact as long as it possibly can from a safety point of view. But at some point, the mayor and others and I will have conversations about the appropriateness of curfew. We will wait until that is absolutely necessary so that our citizens can continue to travel about and prepare and get ready for this storm as it comes forward. So those are the issues that I wanted to talk about. Again, thank you, Mayor Jacobs, for having us here this afternoon.
Thank you, Sheriff. And I also wanted to call on our school board chair, Bill Sublette, to offer a few comments. We are extremely fortunate that we have the relationship that we have with Orange County Public Schools, and that most of our shelters will be accommodated through our school system.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, good afternoon. For Orange County Public Schools, of course, the safety of our 205,000 students and our 24,000 employees is paramount and our number one priority. Our incident management team has been meeting since Monday. That consists of our facilities department, our Orange County Public School Police Department, our fire personnel. I have joining me today our Chief Operating Officer, Michael Eugene, to answer any detailed questions the media may have. Our schools are, of course, closed today. Our schools are officially closed on Monday as well. All of our parents and our families will be receiving a Connect Orange message by 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, as well as we will be posting on our Facebook pages, our social media pages, sending out tweets and calling on our media partners with regard to whether our schools will be open on Tuesday. Once Irma moves through, our facilities team will go through and will perform a facilities assessment. We will also assess the condition of the roads and the abilities of our employees to get to work, including our bus drivers and our support personnel who transport students. Our families should be on the alert for an announcement from us after Irma has passed as to when our schools will reopen. We cannot make that determination at this time. We will be unable to make that determination until we can fully assess all 189 of our school facilities and also the ability of our employees to safely get to work and to safely transport students. 42 of our facilities, 42 of our schools are designated emergency shelters. We are working hand in hand with the Orange County government with regard to those facilities as we do every natural disaster. So our prayers are with our families, our prayers are with our students and for this community. We would ask everybody to take this storm very, very seriously as we do at Orange County Public Schools. And if you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them. Thank you.
And because we had a fairly full briefing yesterday, let me also call on one other critical component of our preparedness and response, and that is LYNX. I wanted to hear from Executive Director Edward Johnson. You were so invaluable to us last year in getting people to and from shelters, but I think it's extremely important for the public to know when your service cuts off. So if you can speak to those issues, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor Jacobs. Again, Edward Johnson with LYNX. LYNX will continue to operate services until wind speeds get to a sustained level of 35 miles per hour. We will follow the direction of Mayor Jacobs as well as Sheriff Demings. When the the curfews have been set, we will start to discontinue services and have all buses off of the road within 3 hours before the curfew is to take effect. We will start notifying our passengers within 24 hours of that notification so that we can ensure that people are either getting to their destination for work or returning home. So we will work and make sure that we are working in concert with the Emergency Operations Center, Mayor Jacobs, as well as Sheriff Demings. Also, would like to share with you that once we have given the all clear, as Irma has passed through the community, we will ensure that we start ramping up services immediately. We are housing at least 100 bus operators at our facilities to make sure that we're ready to begin services. We will start to put at least one bus on each route. Then we will try to get our buses up to an hour frequency. Then as more operators come into play, we will get our services up to at least 30-minute frequencies. And then at that point, we want to make sure that we have fully restored our services. So, Mayor Jacobs, that will conclude my report at this time.
Thank you. So there's one thing I feel like I need to comment on because we've had both the sheriff and Mr. Johnson talk about curfews. I have not made any decision at this time that we're going to have a curfew. We take curfews very seriously. That decision will be made based on weather conditions. It will be made by myself and my emergency management team. If we do impose a curfew, we are going to hope that we get, and we're confident that we'll get the same compliance we got last year, and we will try our best to communicate that in advance so that employers and employees have an opportunity to respond accordingly. And we know from our experience last year that Sheriff Demings is prepared to enforce it, but we also respect the fact that we want to make sure his law enforcement officers come home safely at the end of the night, too. So this is always a balancing act, and that's where our citizens are so important in this, that they're taking the precautions they need ahead of time. They're doing that they're getting out of their homes if they know they're in a mobile home or if they're in a manufactured home not designed to withstand these winds. Some are and some aren't. We just need people to be careful and to listen to the instructions, to stay engaged, to continue to monitor weather conditions. And I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. One of the most important things we need is to make sure that after the storm is over, that our citizens also stay put until they get the green light, either through the media, through other means. People out on the roads right after storms oftentimes expose themselves to more danger than they experience during the storms. And people doing heroic things with chainsaws, cutting down tree limbs, also have encountered some not so great consequences, let's say that. So we need our citizens to be smart and remember that none of us are Superman. But together we survive amazing things as we have done before. I also want to recognize in the audience we have the mayor of Belle Isle. Lydia, good to have you. Pisano, wonderful to have you here with us. Thank you for joining us. And we have great partnership with all of our municipalities, and as you can see, with everyone here behind me to support our citizens through this next storm. Any questions that you have for anybody here that's with us, please, this would be the time to ask. Wonderful. Y'all are easy. Thank you. God bless.